Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel, A Gut Feeling. In this vlog, I just wanted to talk about my 7-day hospital stay. I've been home and recovering for about a month now, or a little under a month, and really just haven't gotten around to recording this. I would have after I got out of the hospital, but I was focusing more on resting and just trying to breathe. I'm no longer taking prednisone. Whoop, whoop, thank God. I did taper off of it sooner than I was supposed to or directed by the doctor. The thing is I felt like shit while I was taking it. My face has cleared up exponentially. I'm again caked in makeup. Before you could still see pimples here and there, and most of them have cleared up off my face. I'm still dealing with some on my shoulders and my back, but they're doing a lot better. Also been sleeping a lot better. I don't have random sweats. When it comes to your own health, you need to weigh the risk versus the benefit. So why am I even explaining why I stopped prednisone? Prednisone is a crappy, has just so many side effects, it's just really crappy. Anyway, so I want to talk about my 7-day hospital stay. It was the longest hospital stay I have had to date, and it wasn't even for my stomach. It was for my lungs. In my medical history, I do talk about a couple of the other chronic illnesses I do have, and one of them is asthma. I've had asthma ever since I was born. It's always usually pretty controlled at home. I've had some pretty severe asthma attacks, but have never had to go to a hospital to handle it. This time was so different, and we really don't know why it was so different, and I definitely have never stayed a whole week at the hospital. For my stomach, I think the longest was 3 days, maybe 4. But this was like the week before Christmas. I was so worried that I was going to be stuck in the hospital for Christmas. That's just like the worst feeling, is being stuck inside of a hospital during the holidays. Yeah, so a week and a half prior to the hospital stay, I was starting to cough a lot more frequently, having to use my rescue inhaler. I was even doing some nebulizer treatments once it was even getting, was progressing more. But none of them seemed to really help, and I could still never get a full breath, and my chest was really tight. I don't know, I just felt really miserable. And I remember it started on Saturday. Me and my friends, Anthony and Will, we were supposed to do some Christmas shopping. And I was really excited about it. I was all set to go like the night before. Anthony slept over and everything. But in the morning, I did a neb treatment, used my inhaler, and it was like back to back. And that's when I realized like I still wasn't getting good enough oxygen intake. I just felt terrible. My mom suggested that I go to urgent care. Now we try and put the ER off as much as possible because it's just a lot of money, and just because it's a lot of money. Sad to say, but that's why we put it off. My mom had just gotten off work that morning too, so she was really tired, so I told her it was okay, she can lay down, Anthony will take me to the urgent care. So Anthony drives me to urgent care, and we're waiting, and you start to get that panicky feeling, and it just starts to grow and grow. If you've ever had an asthma attack, or if you've ever lost your ability to breathe for whatever reason, it's a very doom and gloom kind of feeling that washes over you, and very quickly. So once they realized that I was having trouble breathing, they rushed me into the back, and they started me on another nebulizer treatment, and realized that I still wasn't getting good enough oxygen intake, and so they said I needed to go to the hospital. And I really couldn't fight them. I really couldn't tell them, no, I don't want to. They ended up already calling an ambulance, and EMTs were there within like 5 minutes, because the hospital is very close to urgent care. It's very close to my house. That's why I was kind of annoyed that I ended up having to take an ambulance to the hospital, because that's just more money right there. And isn't it just a side note? It's just so sad that while I literally am struggling to breathe, I'm worried about the expense and the money that is going to come after all of this, instead of worrying about my health and living. Anyway, so the EMTs get me into the ambulance. They blew my vein a couple times. I'm finally all healed up. I looked like a freaking drug addict. They put me on oxygen tank and everything, and they transport me to the hospital. And first I'm on this floor where like all of the nurses and the respiratory techs and the doctors are right on my care the minute I'm there, asking if I need this, that, or the other thing. They're doing my nebulizer treatments back to back to back. Then they put me on a BiPAP machine. And I've never been on one of these before. I've heard of a CPAP, like for when you're sleeping and you have sleep apnea and it helps you breathe at night. But this BiPAP machine is basically, it was breathing for me. It would push air in my lungs and it would kind of like pull it out. It was very interesting. But yeah, it breathes for me so that I wouldn't have to work so hard to breathe. Just felt like there was someone always there if you needed them. Anytime anyone heard me try and breathe, they were like, wow, it is really bad. It's really crackly in there. It's just going to take time. It's inflammation. And I was just so surprised because I was like, this, you know, I've been building up to this almost for 2 weeks, and this coughing, and I can like feel phlegm and stuff, and I was just like, I just don't understand. This can't just be asthma. Like, I really thought it was bronchitis or pneumonia. They took chest x-rays, a lot of blood work. Almost every 4 to 6 hours the first 2 to 3 days I was there, they would take blood work, my nebulizer treatments, all of that. And then they had to move me to the floor. I wasn't in ICU, but I was on the floor that was like right by it, just in case anything happened. And I don't know, my mom and I thought it was a little funny, ironic, however you want to call it, that the nurse was telling me that they're moving me to this other floor so that I can get more round-the-clock care. The first few things that kind of were worrying my mom and I were, and even the nurses were talking about this too. First, she had to wheel me all the way down there in the bed with all my stuff. Are very crowded with just random machines or people, so we kind of had to like finagle our way through like all the obstacles. And then one of the elevators doesn't go to that, like you couldn't ride a certain elevator, so you had to go like a roundabout way to these other elevators. And then we sat there waiting for so long. Like, even the nurse was saying how long we were waiting. She was like, this is not okay. Like, if this was an emergency, like, we should not have to be waiting for these elevators. And in my head, I was just like, yeah, this is a little, you know, worrisome. And because I have the BiPAP machine, I really can't talk to anyone. So, yeah, and then they finally get us on this other floor. And, yeah, they said there'd be more round-the-clock care, and not to knock the nurses, not to knock the radiology techs. I understand that a lot of it is trying to chase down the doctor, trying to find the doctor to write off on certain prescriptions, to write off certain procedures, to write off a certain order. So that can take a long time, and I get that I'm not the only patient that they have to take care of. But at the same time, there were moments where I had to hit my nurse's button like 6 times just to get someone to go get my nurse, and them to still not show up. So that was sometimes a little bit frustrating. And then I think the biggest frustration though was this one doctor who came in on like the 3rd day, tried to say that I was starting to sound better, but anybody else who came in, any of the rad techs, any of the nurses, and then even this other doctor, actually she was a nurse practitioner, who came in and listened to me, absolutely said I was terrible, that I was not leaving, that anytime I take my oxygen tank off, my heart rate would jump and my oxygen would just drop. I would get very lightheaded, very dizzy. It just wasn't good. Once they found out that it was a asthma attack, or acute bronchospasms is the medical term, they were finally able to, this was like the 4th day I was there, like they 100% confirmed that it was an asthma attack and it was just a lot of inflammation, and that sometimes this happens. You know, the weather here in Virginia jumps from cold to hot. It's very humid. They were saying they do have a lot of patients there currently that were having respiratory issues, but I was probably the youngest on that floor, and that I was lucky because if I was older, I probably would have had a very severe case of pneumonia at that point, with like how my symptoms were and just how my asthma had progressed. They treated me with nebulizer treatments every 4 to 6 hours on top of this other treatment that was given by nebulizer, but it was called mucomist. Oh my god, so bad. It was very stinky. Ugh, I can still almost like taste it. It smells like sulfur, tastes like sulfur, like rotten eggs, but it was like a wonder drug. You know, it really got into my lungs and helped me clear out phlegm and mucus that my bronchioles were producing. That with a combination of a steroid, prednisone.
Didn't you wake me up so we could have hung out for a little bit?
Because you were sleeping. Oh, I get the guilt trip because I didn't wake her so we could hang out. Were you going to bed now?
Yeah.
Well, fine. That with a mixture of a very high dose of steroids and an antibiotic. On the 7th day, I was actually getting really sad, getting really like discouraged. And I have to say, I have a really, really great support system. You know, I had friends that showed up the day that I was admitted and were there for hours on end. I had friends that came repeatedly to visit me and stay with me. I don't know, I can't even express the love that I have for these people, and you know exactly who you are. And I don't have words. It means a lot to me. It's really scary and really discouraging to have health problems, but on top of it, to not have a support system just makes it all that much worse. And I have to say that I'm very lucky and I'm very grateful that I have these people in my life that love me so much and support me so much and would do anything for me. And I just want to thank you guys for being there for me. And all of the people that couldn't be there for me physically, you know, I was getting texts, I was getting messages, my mom was getting messages. I'm not a very religious person, but people were praying for me, and I just want to say that I sincerely appreciate that so much, and sending their positive vibes. Most of all, I really want to thank my mama. She was the real MVP. She, of course, was there every day for as long as she could, because she also worked every single night. She brought me fresh clothes, and she like got me Christmassy leggings, and they were really soft and fuzzy, and she was the one who gave me like a sponge bath with like a washcloth and the soap that they provided. Don't ask me why, but I just felt really weird having a nurse do it. I couldn't shower because I was on so many breathing machines and I couldn't take them off to go shower, so she helped me bathe, helped me go to the bathroom, helped dress me, helped do my hair, and she was just there for me like she always is. So thank you, Mom, so much. I'm really, really lucky. It really did help, but all of that being said, it is so mentally exhausting to stay in the hospital for so long. And I was only there for a week. I know people who have been there for months, a year. You know, there are people who basically live in the hospital. And I have the utmost respect for, I already had the utmost respect for my fellow chronic illness warriors. My respect has grown even more. You know, I already respect you all so much, and to know what you all go through as well. Oh, and the battery's about to die. Anyways, they wouldn't let me leave until I could prove to them that I could walk 100 feet without collapsing. So on the 7th day, they took my oxygen off of me, and they slowly tapered me off the oxygen. They don't just like take you off of it. The radiology tech and a nurse helped me kind of like walk a little bit, and I walked to like past the nurse's station and I almost fainted. I hate fainting. I hate that feeling. Your hearing gets muffled, your vision starts to get a little bit blurry and like tunnel vision, and you feel like sweaty and hot and like you might throw up. Oh, it's terrible. But they had me sit down, they talked to me about their dogs, and then they helped me back to my room. But I was able to walk mostly by myself back to my room. You know, my lungs were doing better, so the doctor finally gave me the go-ahead that I could go home that night. Actually, they had said I could go home earlier in the day, and it took until about 8 p.m. at night before my sister could come get me and bring me back home. So discharge can take a long time, let me tell you. It's just because my poor nurse was trying to track down the doctor who signed off on this prescription that I didn't even need, and then I did need, and then I didn't need. So, but anyways, I just want to say I'm so thankful and grateful for the team of nurses and radiology techs that did take care of me and helped me. You all are really who run the hospital, or who help keep the hospital running. I just see that the nurses do a lot more. They gave me a bunch of new things to help track my asthma, track my breathing, help my breathing, and I'll be sure to show that as well, but I have to charge my camera before it dies. Oops, I look a little naked when his big old head's in front of me. Anyways, thank you guys so much for checking in. And if you like this video, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up. And if you're interested in continuing to follow my journey with gastroparesis and the ups and downs that brings, please don't forget to subscribe. Bye guys! These are some of the new medical items that I was given to control my asthma a little bit better while I was in the hospital. First thing is my peak flow monitor. You blow on this and the numbers. You blow within a certain range and it lets you know if you're in danger of inflammation in your lungs or not. I actually don't even have it correctly fixed because my normal, at my healthiest, I do like 300. At 150 I feel is dangerous, so my lungs are doing really well, and the highest I can get is 350. But yeah, basically you take in a deep breath and just blow out. And again, I got 300, so. I don't even remember what this was called, so I'm really sorry, but, so they gave this to me. It says Threshold PEP. I really don't remember, but you, pretty sure you, this thing was weird in the hospital. It was to help bring mucus up when you breathe out into it, and it helps get phlegm and stuff out. This guy is a really confusing word that I really can't remember anymore either. So if any of you also have asthma and have ever had to use any of these lovely little gizmos and gadgets, and you know the actual legit term, you can definitely let me know, because I mean, I'm no doctor, and I know. So this thing measures your breath in. So you blow out and then you take a breath in. I'll do it again.
So that way you know you're getting a good breath in and you're also able to get good oxygen out. I had my asthma attack, I wasn't able to get it in or out. And then the last thing I have is just my albuterol, which come in these little saline thingy plastic things. Comes like this. And I have a whole bunch now. I already have my mask and my tubing. And this is the machine itself. It's small, head for scale, supposed to be a little bit more portable. And then yeah, you just put your albuterol sulfate down in here. It's gone. I'm ready to go. So those are all of my new little goodies to help control my asthma a little bit better.